Hey everyone, this is David Asarno. I am so excited to be able to have the king of offer creation himself right here on Secret Sauce, Stephen Larson. Stephen, welcome.
What's up, man? Thanks for having me here. This is awesome.
It's so awesome to have you here. Now, one of the things we were talking before we started is you're such an inspiration to so many people in the funnel hacking world, and you are to me. When I heard your story the first time about how you literally came to funnel hacking live with no money and you were sleeping in the lobby of a hotel, it's people always think that I have to already have something to get started. And what you have is passion. You have drive.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that if you would.
What's funny is I was just queuing up a post for tomorrow about that very topic is drive, It's no longer about what's the model? What is it I should be learning? What should it I already need a list, or I wish this tool existed. It's no longer about that anymore. All that stuff is there. It exists. It's truly about bringing to the table a bunch of drive and being willing to stand back up. And I think people, because the models are so easy. I mean, when I started, there's not all the stuff there was now. There's all these helps. There's all these guides. None of that was there.
There was nothing. There was nothing.
Nothing. Right? I had .com secrets, and that was it. I didn't have a ClickFunnels account, and just running and gunning, trying to figure it out and get smacked and get back up, smacked to get back up, and just that relentless kind of attitude about it. Like, I mean, after a while, I just started telling myself, like, I'm not going to fail. I'm just not going to fail, which means also I'm willing to go through a crap ton of pain in order to get it, but I'm not going to fail.
Here's something that hits me, and I'm going to bring up stories that I know that a lot of people may have heard of, but it glossed over. But there's little nuggets here. I mean, now almost everyone knows that you were hired as Russell's personal funnel builder, and it gave you an opportunity. But everything that you did, he didn't love, did he?
No, for like a year.
So here's the thing. If most people were, and you probably had going through it, oh my gosh, he's going to fire me. He doesn't like it again. And all I'm getting is criticism. Was stuff like that going through your head?
100%. And it's funny, about 3-4 months into working for him, I got back to our little apartment my wife and I were living in. And I said, I think I'm going to lose my job. She goes, what are you talking about? I actually think I'm going to get fired because I just spent 3 days on this thing. I sent it up to him. I handed it over, and like 80% he killed it. She's just like, oh, no way. I was like, yeah, I got to go in early tomorrow morning and like try and fix it or whatever. And so I would just do that. And it was time after time, and, only 75% destroyed this time, then down to 60. And it was literally about a little over a year. I walked in, and we had switched offices and everything. And he looked at it, sent me. Anyways, I walked in and he goes, hey, dude, good job. I changed one word in the headline. And in my mind, I was like, oh, my gosh, yes. I was like so excited. And he's like, yeah, you did a good job. I was like, you don't know what that signifies, though. Like, you've been wrecking everything. And I was already a good funnel builder, but he was turning me into a marketer. And it was interesting. Yeah.
And that's the big thing. By the way, that's the thing that most people don't realize. And I tell people all the time, hey, can you build me a funnel? And I'm like, yeah. And by the way, you don't need to hire me to build a funnel because anyone can build a funnel.
Yeah.
It's all about, understanding your message, making sure it matches your competition, understanding if you're going to be playing in an ocean with that red ocean, what that means. And by the way, you talk about this a lot. Here's the new book, Blue Ocean Shift.
Good book.
Awesome book. So let's talk a little bit about that. I actually use your explanation, so I'm going to let you explain it because I do give you credit. When you talk about it's not just creating a new blue ocean, could you talk about that shift and really identifying what you need to do and how you pull the people over?
Yeah, totally. So when I first started building funnels, I began launching funnels by just doing that. I would literally just go build the funnel, and I would, funnel hack somebody. And as I'd go funnel hack, I mean, I would just literally just recreate their thing pixel by pixel with the intent to go back and change it afterwards. But then what I did is I would look at the funnel and I would say, okay, I got this sweet funnel now. What product should I sell? And I would go page by page and create products based off of the funnel that I hacked. And I knew no different that was going to be a setup for failure already. And then after the products were created and they were on the page, I was like, okay, how should I sell it? And then I would figure out how to sell based on the products that were on the page, based on what I had funnel hacked, rather than, it's actually the exact opposite. I should first create a sales message, then an offer, then the funnel. A funnel is nothing more than a sales message and an offer. The fact that we put it on the internet is just semantics, honestly. I mean, I can stand on the stage and I'm the funnel and deliver my message and give an offer. So if anyone sold anything ever, they had a funnel. It's just not built with much intent. So that's why they're usually bad. But so for a long time, I talked about how start at the sales message. And I thought that was the beginning. But the longer and I went in, the more and more I went into it, I realized there's actually a bunch of stuff even before that, right? And a lot of this is actually out of my hands. And there are forces in the markets that are running around. And if I learn to catch the wave on one of them, it'll make up for not having A-level copy writing. It's going to make up for me not being this beautiful, amazing, grade A funnel builder all the time. I started seeing that there were these people out there that are making a ton of money because of their positioning and not their talent. And I was like, wait a second, I am where I am because of talent and not positioning. Oh my gosh. And I started freaking out. And so what I started doing was looking backwards, what goes before the sales message? And it goes to this idea of the red ocean in the markets. And which, I don't want to go too deep on it or anything, but it was fascinating. I kind of describe it like this. Imagine that I'm going to wake up one day, I'm living in a village, and I wake up one day and I'm going to go sell my trinkets, and I wake up, I put on my little goofy hat, which I don't know why I was imagining it that way, but I'm going to wear a goofy hat and I put my trinkets in a cart. Where do I push the cart? And most people, what I find they've been doing is because their product is new, they push it to a new place in the village, but no one's there. You push the cart to where all the foot traffic is, which is the red ocean. Too many times I've been focused on selling the blue ocean. The blue ocean doesn't exist. It doesn't exist by definition. It's not even there. I love Innovator's Dilemma, where he talks about that. He's like, new markets, can't be analyzed because they don't exist.
They're not. They're not there yet.
Yeah. He's like, suppliers and customers have to discover the market together. And so what I started obsessing over the past little while here is, what do I need to understand about my market, which is really where the competition is, and what can I grab from that to use as a template to build a blue ocean and build a product? And that's taken so much of the guesswork out of the game.
It's funny when I heard you talking. Well, there's two things. One is I spoke at I was invited to speak at the National Speakers Association conference about 6 years ago. And the first book was launched, and I actually saw the teaching that. And it's funny, I thought what everyone else was thinking, oh, we need to create a brand new blue ocean.
Me too.
I mean, I'm spending literally hours upon hours and days saying, what can I recreate? But as you just said, there's no one looking for this blue ocean that doesn't exist.
It's not even there. Yeah.
But it's interesting because I think that one thing that you're talking about is something that I didn't even realize it actually until just now. It's how I built a $45 million business when I was in corporate America. I built a new division. Yeah. And what I did before I did anything, I literally spent probably about 4 months studying my competition and knowing what all their strengths were and what their weaknesses were.
Nice.
And all I did is I asked questions of the people who were buying from those people right there that I knew would scratch at the weaknesses that they had. So the customers would offer up what the weaknesses were to me. And I just asked them a question. If you could have what you want and also solve what you're not getting right now, would you be open to having a conversation with me? They're like, can you do that? I said, yes, I can. Literally, it was that simple. I mean, it was that simple. And it's what you were talking about, and what so many of our funnel hackers aren't looking at is scratching it. But I want you to go deeper here in the sense that I want you to talk about how, when you're going after this blue ocean that you've now creating within the red ocean, why being a drug dealer is not just okay, it's a good thing.
Specifically that piece, yeah. I can't remember the name of the book that I learned this from. It's from a few interviews as well. Anyways, what I started realizing is that I truly believe that in order to be a good marketer, you can't not learn about behavioral psychology. Like the better you are at understanding why we make decisions as human beings, the better marketer you're going to be. So what I started looking at is how can I want this to be a very seamless transition from a dream customer buying a competition's product to transitioning into my product. And so there's a lot to that. I need to understand the history of the individuals as a whole. I tend to go, one-to-many style marketing. A lot of us do now, obviously. But so I look as kind of a whole, generically, what's the history of everybody in this, who's buying this product? Why did they get it in the first place? Is it actually scratching the itch that they came in for all along? Which a lot of times it isn't.
Yeah.
But one of those pieces, though, was about addiction. And the addiction thing is pretty fascinating. There's 4 chemicals in the brain that cause the happy feelings. And I want to see if there's a way I can keep those in the new thing that I'm building. And so it's dopamine, which is the chemical of distraction. How is it that they choose to get distracted? And we all check our phones statistically, 73 times a day.
Mine's upstairs. So
Isn't that great? It feels like an appendage though. You're like, where is this thing? And it's actually, every time we go and we look at it, it's a dopamine hit. It's the chemical distraction. It's actually the easiest of the 4 to get. And there's lots of ways we all administer it to ourselves, and customers get it from those they're buying from. Oxytocin is the next one. So I think of dose, D-O-S-E. Oxytocin is the next one. That's the chemical of a connection, and we crave connection. We will give up our religion. We'll give up our relationships. We will do crazy things we didn't ever think we would when we don't feel a sense of connection to something in our lives. It's very powerful. It's also the hardest to get, although it's the one we crave the most. Just by complete contrast with dopamine. Serotonin is the chemical of status, and not necessarily like I'm better than you, but like a sense of self-worth. And that's a fascinating one. One of the easiest ways to give that in terms of being a seller is identity. I wear this hat because I talked to Tony Robbins on a couch for a while he was wearing this hat, and I was like, "That's so cool!" And when I got the hat, same thing with like when we close somebody in the logos. Anyway, it's.
Were you, by the way, with Russell when he was just with Tony?
It was just me and one of the guy that was introducing me to him. It was fun.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. I got to chat with him for a while, and anyway, but I was talking about this hat with him, and there's a sense of serotonin that came in with that, and it's probably about 30 minutes ish. It was fun. It was a really cool conversation. But serotonin, though, is really powerful. We give that to our people a lot of times through an identity shift. When they buy, every checkout should include an identity shift, not just the purchase. And then the last one is endorphins. Endorphins is the one of work reward. So when I'm running a mile and I get the feel goods, I get the runner's high. It's the one that I have to put in for in order to get back out. An easy way to give that is through like success paths and check the box. And here's your onboarding guide. And I'm now onboarded, and then that's one of the ways we give that to people. But all I'm doing is I'm looking to see what they're currently getting those from. And then I go and I try and recreate those as best as possible in what I'm also creating. And it's pretty crazy.
Now let's talk about crazy. When you and I were messaging back and forth, you've got an unbelievably crazy speaking schedule, travel schedule. It sounds like you're like a man on a mission right now.
Yeah.
What is your mission? What are you on a mission for? Because you are literally a road warrior. You're live all day long. Tell me some of the cool things you're doing. I don't want to get too philosophical, but like I actually believe that questions invite revelation. And if I intend on being rich, I got to stop asking broke people questions, but that's true for anything. So I got really good at asking, instead of how can I get a discount in life, or how can I just barely get by, or I just need $1,000 more in order to really make it this month. If I switch the question, I'm going to answer it somehow or die, and I'm not going to die. So I'm going to answer it. So the same is true the other way though. How can I afford the most expensive experiences that this life has to offer? And if I just focus on answering that, I'm actually going to answer it also, because questions invite revelation, and I'm going to get revealed on how to do those things. I really believe that this life is so much more malleable than we all think it is. I call myself the least likely success story. I was insanely overweight. I got kicked out of college because I failed out and I didn't know how to learn. I had a pretty near clinical fear of speaking.
especially with adults. I would walk the other way. Pretty much everything that I do now, and we were broke. Everything I do is the exact literal opposite of who I was even 5 years ago. And I had to create this person. And then when I realized that it was actually possible, oh my gosh, this is malleable. What do I really want? So the question that has been coming to my mind recently, what I've been building towards, is I'm trying to answer the question, what do I want to design? And I know part of that is going to be buying and selling businesses. So my dream is to go head to head with Shark Tank and buy companies publicly on a show. That's what I'm moving towards. So we're building structures right now. We're trying to find studio space, and we already have the name, and anyway, try and get it on Netflix and stuff. So that's what I'm going for, but it's so that I can use myself. It's kind of like, like Tim Ferriss is the human guinea pig.
Yeah.
Physical stuff. I'm trying to be that consciously in the business, small marketing world. That's kind of what it's meant to be. Document the whole journey, the good, the terrible. Don't do that. That didn't work. And work towards the success, but really painstakingly open while I do it.
I love that. And thank you for sharing. It made me think of something. Yesterday, I went to a conference. I'm part of a group called Entrepreneurs Organization, EO, and you should join, by the way. They had a conference here in Atlanta, and it was called Limitless. There's a bracelet that they gave to everyone, Be Limitless.
Cool.
And they had different speakers that it was literally just nothing to sell, nothing to learn. It was only to learn mind expansion. And at the end of the day, it was sponsored, because obviously it's an entrepreneur, so it's sponsored by Maker's Mark, was one of the people that were sponsoring it. At the end of the day, they had a dinner, and before the dinner, they said, we're going to give you a bottle, and we're going to give you, put paper in there. And if you could create and pretend 2019 is starting from this day forward, and it was limitless what you could create, what would it be?
Yeah.
What would you do differently? They had us write it in there, and then in front of us, they sealed it in. So I'm literally keeping this here. So every time I talk with someone, every time I see it, and I know in my mind what it would create. And what you were just talking about is questions create revelation, and then how you've had that shift on thinking at a different limitless level. I just so align with what you're saying. I love it. In fact, I'm going to give a little bit of a share. What you may not know, and I don't think a lot of people know, is I have sort of like a Shark Tank incubator going on with clients of mine that I have ownership in their businesses.
Super cool.
And so when you mentioned that, I love the idea of that documentation of the good and the bad and the ugly, because here's the thing that everyone thinks, because just because we've had success, Russell's had success, many times the first thing we put out bombs. And I let people know that up front. The only difference is I believe that the difference is we don't let that get us down. We're like, okay, cool. Let's keep moving on and figure out, because we will make it work.
So true. It took me 16 failures. My 17th is the one that made it in 4 years.
Okay. Say that again. How many?
It was about 17. It was my 17th try that worked.
Okay.
4.5 years.
And the people who have the subscription and been paying their $99 a month for ClickFunnels, how many people would literally let themselves fail 16 times and just keep going?
I don't know, because it's funny, because like one of my favorite stories Russell always tells is this guy that used to work for him before I got there. And after a while, the guy turns around and he goes, Russell, I realize you're not that smart. And he was like, all right. And he goes, all you've done is you're looking to see success and how it happened in the past. And then you just like pursue it. He's like, it's not a knock on you. It's fascinating to see. And I feel the same thing. I'm like, I don't know. I'm not willing to give up and give in. I feel like if I give in, the only other option is having to work for somebody else or having to go in. It's not even an option. I feel like plan Bs are almost dumb. They distract from plan A.
Well, if you have a plan B, you're knowing that you have a plan B, you're usually going to default down to plan B, and you're going to be satisfied because you said that this was my plan.
Yeah. we live a life of what if rather than fear,
You know, it's interesting. I just did a part of this launch that I was doing. I created a quiz, and really spent a long time evaluating the different styles of entrepreneur personalities and why some succeed and why some succeed based upon the answers. And what I know I am, and you described Russell to a T, is I called it a momentum-driven entrepreneur. And I have a feeling you're in this, you look for opportunities, and where everyone says there's no opportunity, that's really where I'm going to go. Where someone says this won't work and I'm going to prove them wrong. Russell's done that time and again. And the beauty in that is, you know what, we don't have to be, I'm not the sharpest tool. Yeah, listen, I'm pretty good at strategy. I've studied human psychology and what makes people buy from the time I was in my early 20s in sales, because I said, well, if I understand psychology, how people think, if you focus in on that, you're going to be more successful. Don't ask me to code something really complicated. People on my team know how to do that. I don't.
Yeah, I don't. It's about being an orchestrator than anything else. Yeah,
I mean, it's really what you when you look at what you're doing now with the clients that you work with and people, it's like the conductor. You're the orchestra leader, and you know all the pieces that need to be in place.
Yeah, it's so true. It's just a series of systems. When you learn what they are, you need to build them and launch. It gets pretty hard to fail after a while, but people are like, oh, I'm not good enough. Like, yeah, duh. None of us were, I don't know how to do that. You'll pick up the skill on the way. Don't worry about it, and just move. Yeah.
So let's get back. You said that you're the most unlikely success story. And I like to say you're the most likely success story because of everything that you just told us today. I mean, here's the thing, you're an inspiration for me, and people tell me that I'm an inspiration for them. And I'm like, wow, I'm just a normal guy that just had some success. Yeah. And the thing you remind me is that I want to continually pretend that I have nothing because it makes you hungrier.
Right.
Yes.
No, spot on. Okay. I've had the biggest fear. Okay. So I was talking about this. I just totally hijacked it. Is that okay?
Go. Yes.
Okay. So last year when I left my job, like I had no option. I had to figure it out. My back was against the wall. An environment has this beautiful power over us to do things we would not otherwise do or feel comfortable doing. Well, I'm excited. My business is grown. I grew it from scratch, no revenue, nothing else. I mean, it's super cool. I think we did $250,000 last month, which was awesome, super fun. And it's growing, it's getting bigger and bigger, and I'm excited about it. And but the problem is that fear isn't there. And so the thing that I declared on my yearly, hey, here's my goal for the next year episode, I was doing it at the beginning of every January. As I said, the thing that's freaking me out the most is I don't know what's freaking me out the most. And so I'm like, crap, I got to figure out what it is that's like this, because fear plays an interesting role in our lives. Some of it's destructive, but some of it's extremely motivating when it's the right kind of it. And I'm trying to make sure that there's always this situation scenario where I'm not like satiated. You know what I mean? And I can just sprint at it still. And I think I know what it is that's doing it right now, but because I'm still running like I got nothing, which is great.
What do you think it is?
I want to stay that way,
What do you think it is?
I think it's the fact that my event's coming up, and I have 1,000 people or 1,000 seats for the room, and there's not 1,000 tickets sold. And Russell's speaking, and there's all this and I'm like, oh my gosh, this could be the biggest failure ever, or it could be like in my mind, it is this massive thing. You know what I mean? It's freaking me out, in a good sense. And I am doing crap I would not normally do, and reaching out to those I don't think I normally would do either. I was very introverted growing up.
Well, here's the funny thing. Most people think that I'm like the most outgoing person. There's a reason. The reason that I work at my house, I have a virtual company with 22 people who work outside of here, and my door's closed, and I'm on video communicating just like this all day long.
Yeah.
I know you, and so it's easy to have a conversation with you. Clients, right. Because it's a different thing. But put me out, if you put me in a room, I'll just sit there and just observe people. I'm the same.
They're like, why aren't you yelling boom all the time, Steve? And I'm like, I learned how to talk on camera, guys. Like, I'm not boom, 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 boom. Anyway.
But it's funny because I have clients that I help run their event. I was the MC before I introduced Devon to be their MC.
Oh, cool.
I literally speak on their stages, and everyone knows me. And they would tell you that I'm the most outgoing person in the world. It's my job there to be the most outgoing person.
Right. Right. I get it.
But exactly. At the end of it, I need to decompress and sleep.
I put these headphones on and I lose myself, and I close the door and I do, and I breathe, and that's it. Right there. You got them too.
Oh, you have these?
No, I've got the other headphones, but it's so funny though. I have to do the same. Like, why won't you come out to dinner with us? And I'm like, I'm gonna go work on some slides or some, gonna go back to the hotel room for a little while.
A lot of momentum-driven entrepreneurs are, I'll call myself an introvert extrovert. I'm really introverted. I can do the extrovert thing if I have to.
Yeah.
And sometimes people think, oh, you're being standoffish. Oh, they're whatever. It's funny. Drew and I were both speaking at a conference together, and I interviewed him, and I went up to him. He and I literally one night after dinner talked for over an hour straight, just about life, his back. I mean, the thing is, I've had people say, oh, he's this. And I'm like, oh my gosh, he's the most down to earth, nice, awesome guy. And it's just, he's shy. He's not going to just walk up and say, hey, I'm Drew, let's talk. I'm not going to go, hey, I'm Dave, let's talk. So. So here's the thing. I have a link. So you're going to get me the information for your event. I'll get set up. And anyone who would like to go to Steven's event, go to this URL, StevenLarsonRocks.com. And that's Steven with a PH. So StevenLarsonRocks.com. They can have information for your event. So I want to leave today with a thought. And it's you started going down that path, and it's the direction that I'm really contemplating on, just like you are. If the rest of the year was limitless.
Yeah.
What's one thing that you would achieve that you didn't think about before I just said that thing that just went through your mind when I said, if you could achieve anything that without limit this year, what would it be?
For me, for this year, I think it would be, I'm right on the cusp, I can tell, of building the actual business. You know what I mean? Where there's a sustained, I have a sustained lifestyle, you know what I mean? Where it's like, there's actually a morning routine, evening routine. There's where it's running like a company. And I don't know how to describe it other than that, because making the revenue isn't that crazy. Now I'm building the systems to support it. And the limitless part of it, I don't know, there's an image of it. I don't know if I could describe it. I know what it looks like though. And that's exciting to go build. And I think also has to do with me starting to make moves to build that structure in order to go buy companies.
Awesome.
That's really it.
I love it. Well, thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing. Hold on one second. I'll stop the recording. But everyone, thanks for being here thank you for being here today. Thank you, Steven, for sharing your insights and the behind the scenes of who Steven Larson is, the way your brain thinks, and where you're going, because you are an inspiration to so many. So thank you.
My pleasure. Thanks so much, man.